energy and all that, I just want to go through a little bit of like a short history of energy. Um, Mainly, we use energy for three different things. We use it for heating, for transportation, and labor. Back, let's say, if you go back like 150,000 years, and when Homo sapiens were just out there, sun basically was the only form of heat that we had. And for transportation, we were pretty much dependent on wind and other sort of animals like horse and all that. And for labor, we were completely dependent on animals for the tasks that we simply did not have the energy to do it. So that's basically how it went on for around 100,000 years. Pretty long time. It was only around like 17th, 18th century that people invented steam engines. But a great irony happened at 1880 when the first electric generator in the world was powered by steam engines that was actually powered by coal. So the first electric generator in the world was powered by coal. And a year later in Wisconsin, they invented a hydroelectric plant. And it was at the end of 1800s, beginning of 19th century, that we found out about petroleum, so we could shift from only relying on sun as our main source of heat. So for labor, we were on animals, we back to the steam engine. For heat, we finally find a way, we find a fire, and then we found petroleum. And the irony of the electrical generators that were powered by coal. There are 10 sources of energy that I could find that are out there. It's solar, wind, geothermal, which is the energy that comes out of the earth, from the core of the earth, hydrogen, tidal, wave. Those two are a little bit different in that tidal, the whole device is actually installed close to the shore to take advantage of the force that is created by the ongoing of the tidal forces, whereas on wave, the whole device is installed mostly within or inside the ocean. And then you have the hydroelectric and a biomass, which I'm pretty sure you guys know what it is, and nuclear and fossil fuels. So we have 10 sources of energy now compared to only one source of energy that we were harnessing at the beginning, which was only sun. Our primary source of energy, it has been fossil fuels. The pros is that it's pretty well developed, it's cheap, it's reliable. The cons, which I think the biggest con would be the subsidy that the governments are paying. This number is actually for the US government. For all the talk about, oh, it's climate change, it's bad, we should do something about it, the US government is still paying $4.22 billion in subsidizing fossil fuel companies, as opposed to paying $1.2 billion for solar energy. So it's a huge gap. I could not actually find any reason except lobbying for it. So those would be the cons. So the commercially used renewable energy, if you want, because we don't have time to go through all those 10 types of energy, but there are a couple of types of renewable energy that are being used, and based on the statistics that we got from there, wind, hydropower, solar, and marine, these are the top 4 producers of energy currently from the renewable sector. And we're going to go through all of them pretty quickly, and our project is going to focus on the last part, the marine part. So the advantage basically of the wind turbines is that, well, they do not really contribute to global warming, so that's good. But the biggest problem that they have, I think, is the initial cost. It's very expensive to install them, and their lifespan is also not very long. It's also around like 15 years. So after 15 years, you have to put another big money in it. You cannot really have any sort of commercial houses around them because of the noise that they actually create. And also, you can only basically have them in open space when there is actually wind. So it's very dependent on the location. In that sense, very limited. Uh, the second one is hydropower. What hydropower in terms of limitation shares with wind power is again the location, because you cannot have it just about everywhere. You should have a dam, you should have a lake, and all that. The good thing is that it has green energy, it's affordable after construction, but it has the same, uh, even more initial cost than the wind energy. So what it shares with that, both of them are very expensive to start, but after you start it, not so much, but it has a much, obviously, a longer lifespan than the wind turbines. And then we have the solar. The advantages is that it has long-term usage, it has low maintenance cost, and like probably like all other sources of renewable energy, it has a great initial cost because it has to be engineered. And again, of course, it's weather dependent. For example, in Korea, you cannot really have it at all sort of places. It depends on the location that you can actually install it. And also, it has energy storage problems because in Korea, the government has put a certain degree of efficiency and production that they need to reach by 2030, and they have a difficult time reaching that. So they have started putting floating solar panels in their sea. And about the tidal energy, which and marine, which is going to be the topic of our discussion and our project. The advantage is that you can use it for a very long time. It's not like the wind turbine that after 15 years it goes away. It has a much more predictable energy output, so you would know what you would get at the end. I would say that the biggest disadvantage that it has, again, from what I researched, was the initial cost. But the initial cost of this is still less than the wind turbines. There's a lot of other studies on new concepts that are trying to work on the tidal energy. One of them is the flow-induced vibration, vortex-induced vibration, and floating type solar panel that I also mentioned in the previous slide. So the biggest problem that these tidal energy, working with developing technologies for tidal energies, has is that the actual physical presence of these projects, it has a potential to change, to alter the marine life, the life of the mammals within the ocean. So that's a big problem. Another problem that it has is that it creates electromagnetic field, and that also creates environmental issues. So these are the two big problems, which both of them obviously are environmental issues. So our goal is basically to look at these projects that people are developing and do a survey on the academic papers to understand what are the big problems, and then look for the shortcomings in those papers, and finally try to ideate about the potential solutions that we can come up with from these academic journals. So our project is going to be mostly analytical, abstract, journal based. And for our second presentation, we're going to look at the issues associated with marine power, and then we're going to study and analyze the existing solutions for it. And after that, after we study and realize, okay, what are the shortcomings, then we're going to try to brainstorm and try to come up with ideas to address those problems in academic journals. So that's the end of our presentation, and thank you for listening. Any questions?